I am joined here by recently elected Councilman Rick Brainard. Rick, you know, we've heard a lot of things other than your side. This is the first time that you are coming out speaking publicly. I kind of want to just open it up to you and, you know, let you get your story out there.
Well, you know, my statement really speaks to what my story is. Probably the thing that is most meaningful today is that I've spent some time getting some counseling, and it really helps to invigorate your mind and get your thoughts around, you know, what you want to do. You know, how do you make lemonade out of a lemon? And really, that's the mode that I'm in now.
So you are currently going through counseling?
I am.
Okay, and I kind of want to dig right in. You know, what happened between the two of you April 6th?
April 6th? You mean April 2nd?
It started April 6th,
yeah.
but you know.
Okay. Well, you know, I'd probably like to stick to the statement, really, and I spent a lot of time working on that statement because there are so many details of what happened, and I don't want to get off that path. My point is that Cindy and I have had a sometimes marvelous relationship, most of the time marvelous relationship, and you know, that week was not a good week for us, and it ended up resulting in something that you know, I don't feel good about. I'm certainly, you know, as I say in the statement, I'm certainly ashamed about what happened, and it's, you know, you don't get to be my age and have the kind of history that I've had by doing those kind of things, and so that's why I went out right away and sought counseling, is because something was different that week, and I want to fix that. And what's interesting is since then, I've talked to Mike Stahl from Hilltop, for example. I spent quite a bit of time with Mike, which, you know, Latimer House is part of Hilltop. And you really get your mind around how complicated domestic violence really is. And you really get your mind around, not only is it complicated, but how scary it is for people to, what's the word? How scary it is for people to come forward, really, and talk about their situations. And that's kind of what, you know, when I look back on what happened to me, I recognized a pattern several months ago, but your pride and your ego would never allow you, you know, in that case, would never allow you to go, hey, let's go down and seek some counseling and figure out how we can make this relationship better. In retrospect, I look back at it today, and it's exactly what we should have done. You know, I'm pretty darn sure that had we went and saw the counselor that I'm seeing, you know, 4 months ago, I will tell you what, I don't even think any of us would be here right now. So, you know, that's really where I'm at on the thing, is that I want to help guys like Mike Stahl. I want to help guys like myself, because I'm in a spot now where I can do something about it, and I intend to.
And what is it, you know, exactly? It seems like you're kind of using this as a platform. You know, how do you tend to go forward?
Well, you know, and that's something that I thought a lot about, and I will tell you, Mike's not convinced that I'm useful or not useful to him at this point, because, you know, this isn't about me. This isn't about Cindy. This isn't about what took place. This is a big deal in this community. I mean, the number of calls that Mike's facility gets is staggering to me. I had no idea. And to think that many of these types of events are taking place, it causes me to go, because there's got to be 10 times more of that they never hear about. And what I want to do is use my position as a city council person and as a leader in this community. I want to use to say, let's bring it out of the shadows. Let's find new ways to get people who need help to get help without making it embarrassing or making it uncomfortable in any way. And so that's really what I want to do with it. There
have been several you know, rallies and demonstrations, I'm sure, that you've heard about in the community here, and people have somewhat, you know, portrayed you as someone who beats women. You know, what do you have to say to that?
You know, they're going to do what they're going to do, and I haven't seen any of that, but I have heard about it, and I think what I would say to you is that that's what uninformed people do, is they stage rallies. The reality of it is that anybody can go and look at my record and see exactly what my record is on this particular topic. In addition to that, one of the things we're going to supply to you guys is a list of references of people who are my friends. They're not cherry-picked. They're people who happen to know me, and you guys are welcome to talk to them as much as you'd like to about me. And that way you're hearing it from somebody other than me. But the reality of it is that I am not, it's just not my nature. Everybody who knows me knows if I'm going to get in a discussion with somebody, I'm going to walk away from it before I'm ever going to engage in it, because it's just, that's who I am. That day, I so regret what I did. It's as uncomfortable as you can imagine.
What exactly do you regret?
When I slapped her on her neck, it was right before I left. We were outside. I was, you get worried about the stupid stuff, and that's the thing, that you play these things back in your mind, and at first you want to defend everything, but then you go, that was stupid. And when we're in a situation, whether I'm worried about the neighbors hearing us, or whether I'm worried about a customer getting a text message from an outraged girlfriend and wanting to get my phone back, was stupid. Because the reality of it is, I would rather call 100,000 customers and apologize the next day for what happened than to ever strike out at somebody.
The arrest affidavit states that you, as you just admitted that you had grabbed her, you pushed her, you slapped her, and then you said that you did so because she needed to shut her mouth. What did you mean by that?
Well, and again, I don't need to restate what's been stated, but we're in a situation where we're arguing. Cindy has a tendency, when she gets in an argument, that she gets right in your face, and she's talking and accusing and insulting and doing all these things, and you want to stop. I'm the kind of person where I want to stop and I want to explain myself. If somebody's going to accuse me of something, I want to explain my position, and because I think that's what two adults should do. Well, when she took it outside, it just kept escalating and escalating. And at that point, I just wanted everything to stop. And I wasn't thinking, I wasn't processing things, I wasn't even in my own character at that point. I was so tired from having traveled for the last 20 hours, and I just wanted it to stop. And that's what the result was. And that's what I spent quite a bit of time with my counselor talking about.
As soon as that happened, as soon as you did, strike her, what went through your head?
Oh my God. And that's why it was within minutes after that, because I had intended to leave the house ahead of time. I had went in, got dressed, and I was getting ready to leave right before that happened. And I sit here and replay it in my head. I said, instead of following her outside, I should have walked out the front door and got my car. And again, I wasn't prepared. I've never been in this situation. And so I didn't have experience, and I wasn't prepared for that kind of an argument. And at the end of the day, I can sit here and tell you, I could have handled that so much better at so many different places, but I didn't. But I know it today, and I'm working with my counselor to figure out how to better recognize those kind of trigger points in the future, because it's not who I am. It's not who I want to be.
Some people have said, by you saying that she needed to shut her mouth, that seems as sort of a justification for the actions that you did.
Not at all.
Do you feel like that?
Not at all. I mean, honestly, I wanted her just to stop long enough for me to say something to her. That's all. And I will tell you, Cindy and I have been through this cycle. I can almost tell you the dates that they happened. And Cindy's a person who is jealous. Whenever somebody who would show me attention when we were out publicly, it would offend her, And her expectation is that I should always choose her side. And in many of the cases, I chose to stay neutral on it because those weren't my discussions, those were her discussions with other people. And so, but the cycle that repeats itself is that she gets outraged and she starts coming after you. And what I found historically is the best thing for us was for us to put some time in between. You know, just let's shut it down, let's cool off. And in every case prior to this, in every single case, she would come to me the next day and she would say, I'm so sorry for being so out of line. I know it's my insecurities. And at that point, those are some of the most wonderful times I've ever spent with Cindy because when she's calm and she's the woman that she is most of the time, she is so wonderful. But when she is outraged, she is a tiger that I've never seen before. I've never experienced that. But I did find that by taking some time to calm down, in less than 24 hours, in most cases in less than 12 hours, everything was fine again. And so that's why I wanted to leave that house. And that's all I wanted to tell her is where I was going. So she wasn't worried about me.
So this wasn't the first time some sort of, altercation has happened between you two?
It's the first time anything physical ever happened. But just like any couple, we had discussions about things. And again, I'd tell you to talk to the people that are on the list that we're giving you because the fact of the matter is I would tell you everything, although they were arguments that are normal in everyday life. This one was different. And this was, and I talked to my counsel about it. I said, I could sit here and try and blame it on the fact that I had been up for 20 hours. I can blame it on a whole lot of things. Those are all excuses. The fact of the matter is I should have never done it. I shouldn't have done it. I should have walked away. And I know that today.
When you initially sat down with authorities and they were questioning you, you said that there was no physical altercation. This is according to the arrest affidavit.
That's not true. That's not what I said.
What happened?
I took them through the whole story from start to end. And they came back and they asked about, specifically about striking her. And I explained in quite detail where I struck her and how I struck her and so on. What is, I can tell you, and in fact my attorney's looking into it, but what was captured in my police report was not, there's some question on whether it was translated properly. So
at any point did you, come back on what you had said previously? Did you at all lie to the police?
Not at all. I only know one way to tell a story, and that's to tell the truth. It's too hard. It's too hard for when people start making things up. It's too hard to keep up with those things.
Kind of shifting gears here a little bit. You are not stepping down.
No.
Why?
Why should I? I mean, the way I see it is, I won my election. The voters have spoken. I believe the city needs some better leadership. I mean, honestly, I look at some of the things that have happened in the last 3 weeks by some of our city council members, and I really question integrity at that point, because I was raised in a world where the only two things you really own in your life is your name and your integrity. And when people compromise their own integrity to carry out very selfish initiatives, as a citizen, I look at that, frankly, it disgusts me. And so, to me, that is an example of why this city needs better leadership. And I'm the same guy I was on April 2nd when I was elected, as far as being a leader in this community. I am absolutely the right guy for the job, and Cindy has actually told that to the district attorney. So my point to you is that this is not about city council. This is about a domestic violence incident that took place that I was part of, and I'm going to change my life about that. And all the rest of the stuff about city council is really secondary to that, from a standpoint of the city council hasn't changed for me, hasn't changed for the people who support me, and I hope it hasn't changed for the people that have voted for me. And if it has, so be it. That'll run its course however it runs its course. And if the citizens of this community don't believe that I'm the right guy for the job, then they'll get a chance to deal with that, and I will respect that, just like I did on April 2nd.
I've, personally spoken with people who say they did vote for you and now they're wishing that they hadn't.
Mm-hmm.
Can you relate to that at all? Can you understand why people would have concerns about you being on city council?
I can and I can't. I believe in our U.S. Constitution, and I believe in the right for people to say what they need to say, and I believe everybody has the right to change their mind. However, I haven't been convicted of anything, and at this point, I think it's completely premature for anybody to sentence me when I haven't even had a trial. I think that's unfair. And I believe there's a U.S. Constitution that says that's not appropriate.
What do you say, to the community, to the people who did vote for you? What message do you send to them?
I think it's the second statement in that statement I gave you. I haven't a chance to talk to Cindy in a month, and don't know when or if I ever will. But I want to apologize to her. I want to apologize to my mother, to all of my supporters, to everybody in this community that I may have let down. And I did. I mean, I let them down. But I'm a bridge builder, and I see things like this as opportunities to really make a difference. That's what I intend to do.
I can see visibly you're getting emotional right now. What about this makes you so emotional?
Well, it's embarrassing. It's not something anybody should ever be proud of. It's not something anybody should ever take lightly. Again, I am the kind of person who will take the worst scenario you could put in front of me, and I'm going to figure out how to make it better. And in this case, I've got great counseling. I've got great supporters, and I intend to put an awful lot of energy into making this the forefront, because again, I look at our community and I'm shocked that I ended up here. I would have never expected to end up here, but I am. And I'm going to use my role, I'm going to use my position with the city, I'm going to use my skills as a leader to do everything I can to make this a big deal in our community, because it's the right thing to do. And there's too many people like me who didn't have the skill set to recognize the potential that ultimately took place. And we got to figure out ways to fix that.
You've been silent, like we said, up until this point pretty much. Why now are you speaking out?
There's a number of reasons for that. One is I needed to take some time and do some soul searching and kind of get my arms around where I'm at. Second thing is there's so much of this hysteria, this mob lynch mentality that has to run its course. Those people are always going to be there, and they got to do their thing, and that's okay. I want to get back to a normal type environment where things are handled properly using the systems and the process that we have to use them. And so really it was more of just letting things calm down, and then getting the word out to everybody else of kind of what my side of the story is. And again, I'm not I'm not proud of it. It's not something you go rushing forward the next day and say, hey, let me tell you my story, because you know what? It's not something you're proud of. But at a certain point, you just say, it's the right thing to do. And the city deserves that. The citizens of the city deserve that.
Why do you think that you are fit to be on city council?
Because as a leader, as a business person, I'm the same person today that I was a month ago. This city needs that help. And I want to carry out the mission that I signed up for. And I don't think this incident has anything to do with my ability to carry out my role as a city council person.
There are some people saying that they don't want someone who's had this sort of charge against them on city council. What do you tell them, if they were sitting here?
I haven't been convicted of anything. There is a process for that if the citizens choose to take that, and they can do that.
What do you say to someone who says someone who's admitted to slapping, a woman, they don't want that person on city council? What do you say to them?
I'm not sure I even understand your question. I mean, my point is that anybody can have an opinion of what I should or shouldn't do. I'm not here to debate that. I'm here to talk about domestic violence. I am here to talk about how I can be most effective in making this part of my agenda. There are plenty of people who can say whatever they want to say about me. I see this as an opportunity to make this about domestic violence and really make a difference.
Going back to your statement here, when I was reading through it, it seemed as though, when you went into detail about the past history between you two, it seemed up until now that there was one victim in this whole relationship. Would you feel differently about that?
I think there's a ton of victims. Certainly, I'm one of those. But both Cindy and I are victims of our own circumstances, and we both own that. And I am absolutely 100% accountable for what I did, and I want to be accountable for it. And again, I can sit here and be sad or be angry or be frustrated or be a whole lot of emotions over it, but at the end of the day, it only matters if I do something about it.
Is there anything else that you feel like you want to touch on at all? I mean, this is an open platform for you to...
No, I can't think of anything.
Is there any sense of you, do you want to ask any sort of forgiveness from people? Do you feel like you need to?
Absolutely. I think my statement speaks pretty strongly to that. I think the second paragraph in my statement speaks pretty strongly to that when I say I am apologizing to the community and to the people who supported me, and Cindy and my mother and every other person that's ever been affected by domestic violence. I am asking for forgiveness. I am asking that it be put in the proper light so that we don't confuse domestic violence with city council. And people keep drawing those two things together. And I got to tell you, domestic violence is a real issue in this community. It's a scary issue in this community. And I'm so fearful of people who are afraid to go get some counseling at the onset. I was one of those people. I want to get that message out.
Do you think that, would you say you have historically been a violent person at all?
Not at all. Not at all.
Is it accurate to say this was, what you believe to be a fluke incident?
Well, let me say this. Prior to this, I haven't been in a physical altercation in my life, not as a kid, not as a teenager, not as a young adult, not as a 51-year-old. I have not been in any sort of physical altercation up until this point. And so I am as shocked as anybody else might be from what happened. And that's why I went and got what I believe and what my attorney believes is the best counselor I could possibly have for that, because I want to get my arms around what was different. I want to get my arms around how do we correct that in Rick Brainard, but even more importantly, how do we find ways to identify that earlier?
Is what's going on in your personal life right now and, in court, is that at all going to hinder your ability to serve on city council?
I hope not.
And you talked, about having integrity and people on city council having integrity. Does this, what you've been through right now and, admitting to getting into this altercation, slapping her, does that compromise your integrity at all?
I think if I was here, let me say that differently. I don't want to get into the case. That's what Steve is for. I think my integrity is I am being truthful. I own what took place, and I'm willing to do something about it. And as a very good friend of mine says frequently, and I've said frequently, nobody's perfect, because there's only two ways to be perfect, and that's to get everything right or to get everything wrong. And I don't know anybody who does any of that. And I am not perfect. And there's a part of this that scared me. There's a part, again, there's a part that's embarrassing. But there's a part you can do something about too, And so, would my integrity be compromised if I ignored it and act like it didn't happen? Probably. Would my integrity be intact if I acknowledged it and I owned it and I apologized for it and I went and did something about it, and not only did something about it with me personally, but did something about it as far as all the rest of the potential victims out there? I think my integrity stays intact.
Would you let, take a third perspective here, would you let a situation like this hinder your vote for someone on city council?
I would not. I would not. I think again, nobody's perfect. But I see city council as being a leader in the community. I see city council as making a difference to make our community a better place. And I see this in my life as an opportunity for me to make me a better person. And I would think the same of anybody else who handled it well.
Let me ask you, what are your plans going forward from here?
Continuing counseling. I have extended an invitation to Hilltop that if there's some value that I can bring to them, whether it's volunteering or what have you, I'm willing to talk to their organization, their patients, all of that. I'm going to make this part of my life. And I will tell you, domestic violence, if you asked me about it a month ago, I read about it in the paper, I see it on the news, but I never felt part of that topic. And so I never felt compelled to do something about it because it wasn't part of my life. Now it is. And I get it. And why not? Why not do something about it?